Okie doke. It is now 12:05, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining us. This is being recorded, so we will make sure that this is posted and uploaded for you all to view after the event. So I would like to introduce you to Ellie Schneider. This is our director of programming, and she is really the one leading the Penfelting Research and Design $5,000 grant program. And today is just a time to learn more about the program. I will be facilitating the meeting. I'm Chandler Vaughn. Almost forgot to say that. I'm our Director of Development and Communications. And so any of the materials you've been seeing across social media, that is coming from me. So I'm glad to see you all here today and make sure I didn't get any questions beforehand, but if you do have a few, feel free to either raise your hand or drop them in the chat. But first we'll do an overview and then I'll let you know when it's time for open questions. So Ellie, if you'd like to start off with just telling us more about the program, the purpose, and any pertinent details.
Sure. Thanks, Chandler, for the introduction. I am happy to share a little bit more about our program. This is the first time that we're doing something like this. ISAIC is a nonprofit institute for the advancement of apparel and textile manufacturing. We're based in Detroit, in Midtown, above the Carhartt store. And our organization is all about supporting innovation and scaling to really help support a healthy domestic manufacturing ecosystem for textile and apparel manufacturing. As part of this work, we get access to some really cool, interesting technology that we get to test out and see how we can use it to help to support manufacturing, working with local companies, small businesses, and seeing what the best opportunities are to implement this into production lines and actually create real products for real customers. We do this with some bigger brands, with some other equipment, but in this instance, we wanted to offer this up as a really unique opportunity for entrepreneurs and small business owners to actually come in on site and get a chance to experiment with this equipment firsthand. So the FeltLOOM machine is a flatbed pin felting machine that was invented by farmers based in Kentucky who raised alpacas, sheep, and different animals that were producing a lot of wool. Pin felting, as we know, is a very popular technique in the crafting community, and they wanted to see how they could scale that technique up to create real products. And so we got a grant through Michigan's Environmental Great Lakes Authority and support from Community Foundation for Southeast Michigan to purchase one of these machines and to see if we could come up with kind of a business case for what it would be like to actually make a product with it. So one of the ways in which we wanted to experiment with that is by opening up this opportunity to have somebody come in and actually develop a product using this equipment. So as Chandler mentioned, we're offering this $5,000 grant opportunity. It gives you access to the equipment, will train you how to use it, will help to support you in sourcing different textiles to experiment with. And the goal is that by the end of the 6-month period after your time here on site, you've developed a limited run of products that we will work to help find a retail partner with to actually be able to sell something at the end of this. So as I mentioned, this is the first time we're doing this. This is intentionally creative and open-ended because we really don't know what the results are going to be, and we wanted to be open to the possibilities. That said, we are looking for somebody with a track record of developing products. We want to know about your process and sort of how you experiment and iterate and create. We want to know that you understand what it takes to actually kind of price something and figure out how to sell it. And we want to know that you're able to commit to being here on site at ISAIC for minimum of 100 hours between January and June of next year. So I think that's, general high-level overview, but at this point, I'm happy to answer any specific questions about the application, the program, or about ISAIC.
So I'll get it kicked off. Ellie, would you be able to describe what a typical day will look like for the awardee during that 6-month period? What is kind of the expectation for being on site?
Sure. So we understand that you all probably have other obligations and jobs, and so we don't expect you to be here full time, but we do expect that you have capacity over the course of those 6 months to be here a minimum of 100 hours, which I think translates to roughly 4 hours a week. Our operating hours here at ISAIC are between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. So you have to be available during that window to be here on site. When you first come, we'll give you an orientation to the space, and we will help to support you with, figuring out how to use the machine. And then it will be pretty self-guided in terms of you'll be coordinating with us to let us know when you plan to come in. If you have a set schedule, that's great. But if it's more of just giving us a heads up and making sure that there's someone here on site, we can be very flexible as long as it is within those windows. I think that, initially, you'll probably want to do some experimentation on your own, but as part of the application process, we are asking about types of materials that you're interested in working with. You'll have access to what we currently have on site, but we can also lean on our partners a bit to source additional materials. And so there are kind of key milestones during the overall program. 3 months into it, we want you to have a rough prototype of what your product is going to be to show to our jurors. And then in the final 3 months, it's really about fine-tuning that to become the final product. And so we are, again, based on the application, looking for somebody who has experience in this process and kind of outline for you what those individual milestones and how you're going to manage your time. But, again, you'll have access to the equipment. Our innovation and research manager will be on site and can provide extra support, answers to questions. He can share his feedback and advice about what he's learned from experimenting with the machine. But we really want somebody who, kind of likes to get their hands dirty with the R&D process and is ready to come in and experiment with the equipment.
Thank you. Go ahead, Natalie.
Oh, I have a quick question statement. I had a little bit of access with the pen felting machine last month during Detroit Design Week month at the open house. You can't see what I made because it's all black and I'm the all black point, but it's very textured and it's been holding up. So I've been really stuck on what my product would be, and a little bit intimidated every time I went to apply, because I'm like, well, what if this doesn't work? Is there an opportunity for me to pivot, or do I have to just stick with, what I said I was going to do? What do you guys think about that? I know you said it's kind of open-ended, but is there some flexibility to kind of really experiment on what you're going to create?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Natalie. I think you really touched on kind of the spirit of this process and R&D, is that we don't always know what the outcomes are going to be. I think, what's going to be compelling for you is, really looking at the criteria in terms of, do you have a solid record of, having developed products in the past, and can you talk to some of your research and development process in doing that? How creative is your idea? Is it a unique thing that you're looking at developing, or unique approach, or unique materials? And what is the commercial potential? And I think, through this learning process and experimentation process, we want to see what you're learning, how you're pivoting, how that's informing your final product. But I think that we can all reasonably expect that there will be some growth and evolution of the idea through your process. This is specifically to support R&D, not necessarily I have, final perfect product and I'm just ready to run with it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Hi, ladies. So I did had a chance to use the machine, and I made something like this.
Cool.
Provided by your material, which was pretty interesting. And that's why I'm here, because it interested me a lot. Now, the process, so you apply for it, or a business applies for it and fill out the application, I'm sure. And am I able to use my own material, or is there a restriction of fabric which this machine would discard?
So we are, as part of the application process, we'll ask if there are specific materials that you have in mind, either ones that you have access to that you want to bring in, experiment with, or if you're interested in using what we have on site, or if, for instance, you're really interested in working with denim. So we would work with you to help you source materials for you to experiment on, but you, of course, are welcome to bring in existing materials that you have used. So in terms of how those materials will react with the machine, that's part of the R&D process to figure out. In our experience, we've seen good luck with natural materials responding really well, as well as some of our fleece material that we have here. However, some of our looser knit materials, like the scraps from our Carhartt beanie hats, really did not respond well to the pin felting because the needles kind of just went right through it. So it's a learning process with every different type of material and you know, the different combinations of material. But the idea is to kind of be open and experiment and try and work with you to make sure that you have the types of materials that you're interested in experimenting with.
Have you experimented with silk or brocade?
Not with silk or brocade, I don't believe.
Okay. Because fleece and felt seems, you know, that quite working good with that. And it sounds like that it'll work better with those kind of textiles.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I understand it's R&D process, but what happens like if I do not come up with a product at the end of 6 months, you know, which I have in mind and according to my fabric?
So, you know, part of the selection process will be seeing that someone has a track record of having created products. And I think to the question earlier, if something's not working, you know, are you able to pivot and, you know, consider different angles and have a goal? The dollars that we're awarding are tied to achieving certain milestones. So if you don't reach the milestone of having that prototype or having that final product, you won't receive the stipend disbursements that are affiliated with that. So we include details around sort of the eligibility and expectations in the grant information as well as the application process.
So those stipends are tied to like purchasing my fabric, or what are those stipends tied to?
So you get $2,000 as an initial disbursement when you receive the grant award and you come and do that initial kind of onboarding training. After you complete the first milestone is where you share your progress with the jurors and get that initial round of feedback and review. You get an additional $1,500. And then once you achieve milestone 2, which is that final review for the actual product, and you have that limited line produced, you get that final disbursement of $1,500.
And you said 100 hours in 6 months is the commitment to come down to ISAIC.
Yes, yes.
And is there a hard and fast of the months or the time, or because I have some travel plans between February and March?
Yeah, so you'll outline a little bit of your timeline and plan in your application process. That's one of the questions that's asked. It's not as steady, you have to be here 4 hours every week. We leave it flexible in terms of how you're going to allocate that time across the 6-month period.
Okay.
As long as it's within Monday through Friday, those 7 to 5 working hours.
Yeah, because I'm working currently with the, you know, upcycled team, and I just presented my collection at Milan Fashion Week. So doing all that, you know, I want to recycle and upcycle the fabrics. That's why I'm asking if I'm okay to bring my own material.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any additional questions? Ellie, maybe you could talk a little bit about what it's like to work in partnership, because this grant is available to both individuals and companies or groups. So could you go into detail more about that?
Yeah, so we left it open to apply as an individual or to apply as a team. If you are, you know, a small business owner with your own fashion line and you're already collaborating with, you know, other individuals, you have the opportunity to come in and apply as a group. The application process asks you to identify who those individuals are and what their responsibilities are, and you should, in, you know, responding to the questions about what your plan is and, you know, your approach, it should reflect, you know, the team members' roles in contributing to that. But we did want to keep it open in terms of if you have partners that you regularly work with and collaborate with, we are open to team applications. The dollar amount stipend stays the same, whether it's one person or multiple people applying.
Great. And then the jurors, you have mentioned them a few times. Do you want to be able to give some feedback about their role in all of this?
Yeah, we have a really great jury for this. I'm very excited. It's a small but really experienced group. So our three jurors are Tiffany Radon from Carhartt. She's part of the product development team there, so she has a lot of experience in terms of how you go from a concept to an actual product, and is very knowledgeable around the development process, around materials, around what it takes, to really have something in a retail environment. So Tiffany brings a lot of experience in that department. Then we have Rosalind Karamoko, who's currently with Michigan Central overseeing their retail. Rosalind is an entrepreneur, has a deep background in fashion. You may recall her business, Detroit is the New Black. That was a retail space downtown. So she has a lot of knowledge in terms of what it takes as an individual to create a line, to work in retail, and brings that knowledge and experience. And then finally, we have Isabel Weiss, who is the owner of I Am Weiss Gallery, which is in the Little Village neighborhood of Detroit. Isabel has been running an independent design gallery for over a decade now, and has worked with a lot of small scale entrepreneurs and designers to help to sell their products and make design more accessible. And so Isabel has a lot of experience in terms of how you price items, what is the market for certain items, and how you tell compelling stories around objects that really, highlight craft, design, and, the small business spirit of Detroit. So the jurors will be, in addition to selecting the applicants and the final winner, they will be the ones who will come to help kind of orient you when you come to ISAIC and share a little bit about the program. Then they will be the ones that are meeting with you to do those milestone touch points. So you're going to be doing a critique with them when you have that prototype, and then working with them on coming up with a kind of a retail plan for where your objects would be best placed, and then doing that final review of the final objects as well.
That is great. Would you be able to share a little bit more about for all of those applicants, because there's only going to be one who's selected, how can they stay engaged with ISAIC in the new year?
That's a great question, Chandler. We're going to be doing a lot more programming over the next year to open up access to ISAIC and share more of our expertise around training, and have more people on site here for various workshops related to innovation, as well as some entrepreneurial programming as well. Of course, we offer our Fundamentals of Industrial Sewing program several times a year. This is an 8-week course where you learn all the basics of industrial sewing, from how to operate and maintain several different machines, to how to read a tech pack, to how to handle different materials, and what it's like to work in a production setting. That class is primarily focused on people who are looking for jobs in the industry, but we will be offering a special session specifically for entrepreneurs later in the new year. In addition to that more comprehensive program, we'll be doing a series of workshops where we're going to be taking some of the innovation training that we develop for our own staff and offering that up to the public. So this is a chance to learn more about how to use different pattern making software, how to operate some of our technology like our flatbed knitting machines, how to create a digital twin, how to use DigitPen to digitalize patterns. We have several different workshops that we have developed and will be developing, and we'll be offering those up. And so we'll have a calendar posted towards the end of the year of those workshops, some of which will be on site and some of which will be offered virtually.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Do we have any additional questions?
What should we do about that? That's where I get frustrated. It's not the theory.
Okay.
All these.
Well, thank you all for coming. I will definitely post this within the next 48 hours, and we look forward to reviewing your submissions.
Chandler, really quick, one other piece of information that may be helpful for everybody to know is that our machine is a 60-inch flatbed. In our experience, we've seen 40 inches or less to be the ideal size of an item to go through the machine, but that's just based on what we have used and tested with so far. So it doesn't mean that that's the limit, but I just wanted to share that information for your knowledge.
Real quick, ladies, before we go.
Yeah.
So.
Sure.
I know we are making the fabric in the machine and all that, and you're talking about a product. So now this is material, and we are supposed to stitch this into some kind of a product.
Yes. So
Okay.
so we are expecting that in addition to the time that you're here developing the, product on site at ISAIC, that you are taking time to actually turn that into a product on your own. So, the hours that you should be investing go beyond just making the material itself.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I have one quick question too. Hi guys, I'm
Hi.
Rhea. I'm a sustainable fashion designer in Detroit. So this is totally like up my alley, I feel. About the scrap materials, is leather part of that material bed or whatever?
It's not, and we have leather has not responded well to this process
Okay.
in our experience. That doesn't mean that there may not be a way that you can experiment with it, but in our experience, it has not worked well.
Okay. And then one other question about the retail space. Is there like a specific list of retail spaces in Detroit or like in the like Midwest area that we're gonna be able to sell through, or is that still like up in the air right now?
This is part of the process, is based on what your product is. Our jurors and our team at ISAIC are going to figure out what might be a good fit for you. So we have relationships with local businesses, whether they're design galleries or retail shops, but we also have connections with larger retailers and brands. And we really wanted to keep it very open-ended because we don't know the type of product that will come out of this process. It could be interiors, it could be apparel, it could be, objects for the home. And so, that is going to be really tailored to the individual that is selected in the product that they create.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. You're welcome. Thank you all for joining us.
Okay.
We're excited to see your applications. And just as a reminder, the application is open through November 11th. We will be making a selection in December and notifying folks of the winner at that point. So I think that's it for now, unless there's anything else, Chandler, that you want to add.
No, this is fabulous. I look forward to seeing the applications. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.